Hey there Internet, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to have a look at how to get better at throwing and catching. What we're actually going to have a look at today is a series of juggling exercises and drills that you can use to get better faster. So with juggling, catching isn't actually the most important thing in the world, to be honest. Having good throws is way more important, because if you have a good throw, the catch is going to be really easy. So most of these drills focus on getting like nice throws and building up your consistency. We're going to go through 4 separate exercises today, and we're going to have a look at what each of them is designed to help you learn. So let's get into it. As we've said in previous videos, we have quite a low ceiling here at Cascade. So I'm going to pass over to demonstration Colin, who's gone outside and filmed some other bits and pieces for this. Exercise 1, locking your catch points. So for this exercise, we're going to think about throwing to a specific point, mainly our hand, because that's the thing you most often want to throw towards. So to get started with this, we want to get ourselves into a nice comfortable juggling position. Shoulders nice and loose, arms at sides. I like my hands resting kind of nice, parallel to the ground. Find a comfortable position for you. So when we're ready to juggle, we want to have one hand that is our catching hand, and the hand that's throwing. The hand that's catching is not going to move at all. Even if the ball's going to miss, you're just going to let it drop. That is going to give you way better feedback than trying to catch it, because when you miss, you get to see how far you've missed by, where you've missed towards, and what you need to do to correct that miss. Whereas if you're just catching it and you're moving and pulling back every time, this is going to help you, keep your pattern going a bit better. But in the long run, this isn't going to provide you with a good feedback mechanism for improving your juggling. So when doing this exercise, if the ball even touches your hand, that counts as a success, because it's close enough that your hand could easily have adjusted to catch the ball without really worrying about it. So what we care about is if the ball touches your hand, excellent. If the ball lands in your hand, excellent. If the ball misses your hand, that's also still excellent, because we get to work out how far it's missed by, where it's missed towards, and what we can do to correct that in the future. When you're feeling nice and comfortable doing this at kind of 3-ball kind of high, or even a bit higher, you can just work up and build it. This is actually a really good exercise for training 5 balls, 7 balls, 9 balls, whatever you want to juggle. Because you can just dial in that throw and get, once you're solid 5-ball throw is on lock, you're gonna have a much easier time actually trying to run 5 balls. I quite like doing this exercise from one hand to the other and then back and forth, so you train both hands at the same time, but you can also just lock in on one hand and really focus in and get it really consistent, and then work on the other hand. Another thing that locking your catch points can be used to work on is body throws. So the example we have here is the back cross. I'm going to lock my catch point, and when I do my back cross, I'm going to instantly see am I throwing it too far forward? Am I throwing it too far backwards? Where's that sweet spot for hitting the back cross? And once you've got this really solid, it's going to make actually trying to learn back crosses much easier. Exercise 2. So in this exercise, what we're going to do is we are going to disrupt the visual feedback we are getting while juggling and trying to maintain a 3-ball cascade. This is going to help us improve the tactile feedback that we are getting from our hands and arms while juggling, and kind of feeling where the throws are. For this exercise, you're going to want a pretty solid 3-ball cascade to begin with. The more comfortable you are with it, the better. You can try this using other patterns, however, I think that the cascade is the best kind of thing to try with this, at least to start with. During this exercise, we want to keep our cascade as consistent as possible. Having it really tiny isn't going to be great. Having it really huge isn't going to be great. We want a nice medium height, basically a comfortable rhythm for you. Wherever you find your comfortable rhythm for juggling cascade is, that's kind of where you want to start this exercise. The first thing we're going to play with here then is we're going to get our cascade going, and we're going to wait till we feel nice and comfortable, and then we're going to start by tilting our head from side to side. So leaning it over, back to center, leaning it to the other side, back to center. See how this feels already. If you've never tried this before, it's going to feel really weird and you're probably going to drop. It's a thing to work on, and it is kind of strange how much this actually disrupts your juggling, considering your arms aren't really having to do much different. If you're feeling comfortable just going from like side to side slowly, try and do it fast. The one thing to be aware of here is not to hurt your neck, so don't go silly with it. You can also warm up your neck first if you want, but yeah, just don't break yourself doing this. The next thing we can try is, instead of leaning our head from side to side, we're actually just going to turn it. And you're going to look till you basically can't see the pattern anymore on both sides. And then you can go back and forth. You can do this fast, you can do this slow, whatever your level is for this exercise. Just try and like push it as far as you can, you know? Even if that means pushing it just to one side and holding it there and seeing like how far you can get your head around it, that's great as well. As well as side to side, we can also look up and down with this. So looking up until you can barely see the top of the pattern at the bottom of your vision. Looking down, you can't really get away from like not seeing anything. But the interesting one is to try and get it so that you can't see the top of the pattern. The last one I think is really fun to try with this is opening and closing your eyes. So to start with, we can just try some blinks, and you can like just like one off, just like close your eyes open, try and like keep them shut for a little bit longer. You can try and almost like strobe your vision a little bit by just like opening and closing constantly and just going really fast blinks in a row. This will feel a little bit weird. And if you're feeling really comfortable with this, try and close your eyes and just see how long you can keep going for. So yeah, the overall point of this exercise isn't particularly any of the like things you're doing to remove your vision from the juggling. It's all about making it harder for yourself though. It's kind of like a resistance training, you know? If you train with like weighted clothing on or weighted boots and go running, when you take them off, it's going to be way easier, you know? So if you give yourself impediments to your juggling, and then when you remove them again, you're going to feel really solid. Exercise 3. So for this one, we're just going to think about the very top of the throw. This is kind of the most important bit for us to see in the throw, because if you see the peak and the peak of that arc, your brain's actually pretty good at like calculating where it's going to land from just that little bit of like information. To start with this exercise, what we're going to do is we're going to think about high throw. I am not specifically thinking about throwing a height like a 9 or a 7 or you know, whatever you want. I am just thinking about throwing it as high as I can while being able to still catch it. So don't like, you know, launch it and then have to run across the room to go, or wherever. If you got a room that you can juggle in and launch it, that's cool. But if you don't want to launch it and then have to be chasing after it. You want to keep your feet in the same place so you can still try and catch it from there. If your throws are not entirely accurate, that's okay actually. We can work with that. It's going to make the exercise more difficult for you, but that's maybe not a bad thing because it's going to allow you to like train these bad throws. So the first thing we're going to try with this kind of throw is we're going to try and put off looking at the top of the throw for as long as possible. So what we're going to do is throw the ball high and just try and keep looking forward and hold looking forward for as long as possible before you look up to try and catch the ball. The next thing that we can do with this to help progress ourselves is to try and only see the very top of the throw. So to do that, we're going to throw, you're going to make one quick look up, look back down, then try and make your catch. And really trying to split that part where you're going throw, look up, look down, catch. Throw, look up, look down, catch. This is going to be really hard to begin with. Actually, for me, it's still really hard sometimes. So again, it's the same as our first exercise with the locking points. If the ball hits your hand, that is a success. That means that you are close enough to it that you could have caught it and that your calculations are good for this. If you are struggling with these exercises, you can definitely like lower the height, start smaller, and then work your way up higher as you go. I find that there is kind of a minimum height that it needs to be at in order for this to be an effective exercise though. If you have a friend handy, you can actually also turn this exercise into a fun game. So I've got Kyle who's going to help me with this one. And basically the idea is Kyle is going to hold an amount of fingers up. It could be, you know, both hands, 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, whatever you want. And the idea is I'm going to have my back to him. When I'm going to throw the ball up, I'm going to try and turn around, look at how many fingers he has held up, count them, turn around, turn back, catch the ball, and then see if I'm right. If you're feeling like this is easy and you're having like a lot of success with this, you can get your friend to try and do things to make it harder for you by putting the, two different hands, different places with the fingers to count. You can go like behind your back a little bit. As long as you can actually still like see out where the fingers are, that counts. Obviously, if you just hold them behind your back and you can't see them, it's not really going to do much, but make it awkward, cross your arms over, do things to like make it like more difficult to like spot where the fingers are, so then your partner is going to have to do more work in order to count them. Exercise 4 then. So for this exercise, we're going to have a look at the arc that the ball is going to take when you throw it. So to start with, we're just having a look at kind of where our basic like 3-ball throw would be from hand to hand. But instead of catching it in the other hand, I'm going to let it drop the whole way to the throw, and we're going to really pay attention to where the ball actually travels through on its way to hitting the floor. The reason we're looking at this arc the entire way across and down to the floor is because instead of like, you're imagining that to catch the ball, you're going to interrupt the arc, basically. So if you're juggling normally, you're interrupting the arc quite early, because as it hits your like hand kind of level, you want to catch it. However, we can miss this like part here and try and interrupt the ball somewhere else. My example here is like down towards the floor. And it gives kind of a cool effect. You can like drop and know where the ball is going to catch. You can do things like you could throw, you could do a pirouette, and you still know where the ball is going to land roughly, because you can interrupt that arc right before it hits the floor and still catch the ball. Other things that this is really fun for and useful for is things like body throws. So say you want to learn how to do the under the leg catch, but you don't want to have to like lift your leg up to do so. We can practice this by kind of throwing somewhere where your hand is going to be able to reach through your leg and catch, thinking about where that is going to land, and we're going to practice throwing an arc to there. One of the cool things you can do with arcs and like knowing where the thing is you can try and like interrupt the arc, say putting like through a negative space kind of thing. So, or through a hole, this like, I like this hole here with your arm and your head. You can try and put it through multiple things. You can make up like quite complicated sequences of things that are going to happen to the ball before you catch it. So in this case, I'm going to go through one gap, through the second gap, and then bounce it off my foot before I catch it. And that's when you're comfortable with like the arc that it's going to take. It gives you a lot of freedom with how you want to catch the ball and how you want to interact with it while it's in the air. So that's it for our tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed the exercises, and let us know in the comments how you're getting on with them. I know for me they've made quite a big difference to my juggling over the years, so yeah, I hope they will help you too. Until the next video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.